Do you remember the first time you heard the N-word? I do. I was 3 years old, and we lived in Fort Ord in the officer base housing. My father was an officer, and I loved military bases because it was one of the only times at that age where I saw a lot of diversity all living and collaborating and working together. And I was completely aware of race from television, at least. But our neighbors, they had two sons. One was my sister's age, so they were about 7, 8 years old. And then their son, Michael, who was 3 or 4, and I was 3. Michael was my first boyfriend. And oh, I was in love with him. I have this phenomenal picture. I've got my big floppy Carly Simon hat on, and we used to put these little plastic groceries all up on this hill and then take my little plastic grocery cart and go shopping. And he and I just used to have a ton of fun. I didn't know his brother well. I don't remember his brother's name at all. But I do remember one day, and I don't remember what we were doing, where we were, or anything like that. But one day, the three of us were somewhere, probably just in the back where we all played. And this man, I don't know what happened, but he used the N-word. I had no idea what that word was. I'd never heard it before. I didn't know what it meant, but I looked at his brother's face and I saw the light go out. I saw his eyes drop, and I didn't know that it was shame that I was seeing, but it was shame. So because of his reaction, I didn't ask anyone what it meant. I didn't go home and ask my mom. I was afraid of saying the word out loud because I didn't know that it applied to black people. I, was somebody who, of course, would never say an insult to my mom. I was also just sheepish about talking, believe it or not. But then we lived in Montana. And, we had all our vacations in Idaho. And in Montana, I heard that word. And I came to an understanding of what that word meant. And I was angry. I mean, as angry as a 5-year-old can be. By that time, I'm 5. I was angry. It didn't make sense to me. And that is honestly the place where I start paying attention to how white people treat black people, and start opening my mind and listening through time on how there was such a difference between me and the black kids. And I'm grateful for my life of observation, of keeping my eyes open, of being anti-racist wherever I could, of being the good Karen, meaning intervening with someone and getting in their fucking face. As a kid, I did that a lot. Like, I was always the great protector of anyone who didn't want or couldn't protect themselves. I was there. But without that horrible experience in Monterey, I might have missed this very important aspect at a time where we didn't use the N-word. No, I mean, not we, but like we societally did not use the N-word. It hadn't been taken back by the black community yet. You didn't have rap. I mean, you had phenomenal funk, and you had the beginnings of hip hop. But there was still a time where we didn't use that word. And like my grandma would say, only racists use that fucking word. I love that my poor grandma, she never cursed. She just didn't. Except when it came to racists. Man, that would bring an F word out of that woman. And it was like, huh? But we can do better. And we should do better. And we've all got a part to be in that. And if a 3-year-old can recognize the power and devastation that word can bring, then I think the rest of us can too. And if you can, you should.